You could have heard this episode 48 hours early on our Patreon, patreon.com/indieheadspodcast. By joining us for as low as $1 a month, you will receive episodes early, gain access to our Discord server, and get yourself an Indie Heads podcast sticker. Mainline episodes go up on our Patreon 48 hours before it hits our public podcast feeds. But if you are hearing this via our Patreon feed, we thank you so much for your support. We especially want to thank our Real Ones Patreon supporters, including of History of Violet, Taxon, Delaney Mothman, Josiah Duncan, Marcy Anime, Matt Cameron, Awat, Cal50, Chance Holdup, Charles, Chris Wade, Commander and Beef, Dane Dupree, El Hijo de Adrian Dog Penis, Gavin for Andy Freak, Georgia Mikowski, Grant, Griff, Ian, Insomni Black, Jake Wald, Jimmy Elward, Jay, Jenna LaFleur, Joe Conrad, John Hayes, Keep Autism Weird, Kevin Pierce, Maze Farms, Mark Barry, Matthew Taylor, Max Kabazinski, Nicole Rifkin, Rena K, Robert Mariano, Sarah Moore, Tim's Discount Prices, and Zach. And if you'll be amongst these names, consider upgrading to our Real One tier on Patreon, where you'll receive a bonus episode every month on top of other perks. And before we move into the episode, I just want to thank the rest of our Patreon supporters like Jason Daphnis, Kevin Cookman, AJ Moser, Alec Felder, Alex Gershmanoff, Alexis Davin, Alan, Ali Eleanor, Barely March, Becca Etienne, Cheddaz, Cody Gagan, Dare Pemberton, Drew Rupard, Eleanor Grahams, Eraser Baby, Eric Chow, Finitrees, Gavlin, Gayars420, Holiday Kirk, Jack Tickleman, Jacqueline Kadiga, James Boss, Jeremy Bowl, Josh, Willie, Matthew Herring, Matthew McPherson, Midwest Maxwell, Molly O'Brien, Nato, Rainy Donaldson, Sarah Nemo, Sarah L, Big LaFleur, Will Griffin, and Wilfer Thrill. Anyways, though, enjoy the episode. Hey, folks. It's me. It's Matty Monroe, and we are back with an episode of FYC, the Indie Heads podcast, very infrequent new music discussion series that basically at this point is an interview series. It's been almost 2 years since we've done one of these episodes, as I think the last one we did was the Truth Club one back in 2020. I want to say 2024, but I think it was 2023 actually. Jesus. It's been a while since we've done one of these episodes, and part of that is just simply logistical, as putting together a normal episode of the podcast every week is a Herculean task, let alone an episode with a guest that's sort of outside of our main circle. But it's not just that. As last year, I just didn't know if there were any albums I felt I could do a whole podcast on, or if it felt necessary for me to talk about them outside the context of one of our Album of the Year pods or a radio show episode. But folks, there is an album out this year that I hope warrants this episode, because I got to get on the horn with Caelan Burris of i26connector to talk about the Asheville band's debut album, also titled i26connector. Beyond the fact that Caelan is just a very talented songwriter, they're also one of the hardest working musicians working today, as not only do they head up other bands / projects like Tombstone Poetry and their own solo work, they also actively play in a variety of bands in the North Carolina scene, like Idle County, Headringer, and Motocrossed, and contribute to even more in just the Asheville scene alone when it comes to recording and playing on other people's records. I first came across Caelan when their band Tombstone Poetry opened for Flory at the Pinhook in Durham, North Carolina. I remember that day very clearly because, one, the gig was great, but also it was so fucking hot. I think we actually get into that on the episode, how fucking hot it was in Durham that day. Just so hot and so fucking humid, but it didn't even matter because it was a fucking awesome gig. And not long after that gig, Tombstone Poetry released a song called Bear Down that ended up being one of my favorite songs of last year, and immediately put Tombstone Poetry as a band that should be on everybody's radar. And turns out it's Caelan that should be on everybody's radar, because I found out about i26connector maybe a week or two before I saw them play with Truth Club and Motocross at a gig at the Fuzzy Needle, also in Durham, as this gig at the Fuzzy Needle ended up being the album release show for i26connector, as their debut came out the same day of the show. As that morning, I was like, all right, I'm going to listen to this record, and I think one listen ended up turning into like 3 or 4 by the time I got to the gig. I just instantly fell in love with the record, got hooked, and ended up following the band to their gig the next day at a farm in Mebane, which is like a half an hour, 45 minutes away from Durham, I want to say. Probably closer to 30 than 45, but nevertheless, ended up seeing the band twice in a row and just fell in love. And in the months since those gigs, I think I probably listened to this album at least 6 dozen times. I'm generally pretty high on a number of albums that have kind of gotten lumped into this, sort of alt country revival. But I think this is the album I've been the most high on since that revival began, or at least since this sort of new wave of alt countries began. I think the last time I was just this in love with a record in that scene was probably Boat Songs by MJ Linderman. But honestly, I think this album is better than Boat Songs, in my humble opinion. So I fucking love this record, but I have much more to say in the interview itself, as was really great getting to talk to Caelan, and hopefully you enjoy our chat as we run down their origins as a songwriter, how the band came together, and how the album's 7 tracks all came to be. So let's go ahead and listen to my interview with Caelan Burris of i26connector. Enjoy. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Indie Heads podcast, a special episode of FYC, as I am here with the person that made, or at least is 1/5 of the band that made what I think is my favorite album of the year so far, and that is Caelan Burris of i26connector. Caelan, welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I of course I discovered you guys. I discovered Tombstone Poetry first, of course, the one of like a dozen bands that you play in.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if it was Will or Lawson I was talking to, where I was like, how many fucking bands does Caelan play in? And they're like, too many, too many. Because it's like,
Yeah,
obviously,
it's a little crazy.
because it's like you have i26connector, Tombstone Poetry, you've got your own solo stuff, and then like you play in Lawson's band, you play in Idle County, who they've got a record coming out in July. Very, very excited to hear that.
Yep.
You've been playing with motocross more often recently, like so many fucking bands in North
Yeah.
Carolina. I remember because the show in Mebane that I'm talking about in particular, you played in like 4 of the bands that were on that bill, and you probably could have played in the 5th one too, but I think even you're like, I can't, like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Charlie Passo. Sometimes I play bass for them, but I think I would have just died from exhaustion
I mean, I'm
and the cold.
oh yeah, no, it was so fucking cold. It was it was right before North Carolina, like before like the summer started to like kind of kick in a little bit, or like right before the spring, our 4 week spring before the hell of the summer that we're currently in. Are y'all going through a drought like we're going through a drought in Durham right now?
We actually got some rain yesterday, but it
Same.
wasn't nearly as much as they thought. And yeah, it's been dry as hell.
Yeah,
Like
it's been
it's
bad.
crazy. Yeah, it's really bad. And it's so hot. And I know y'all are always like, it's always about 10 degrees hotter in the
Oh yeah.
triangle. And yeah, oh my God. I remember that Pinhook show that Tombstone played with Flory.
Oh god, it
It
was
was
so fucking hot.
it was so hot I couldn't smoke a full cigarette. Like I'd get halfway through and give up because it wasn't even worth it.
and then that was like probably closer to like evening time where like it cooled down a little bit. Like I was out there, I think like right before the show started, talking to my friends, and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, why am I out here? This is absolutely fucking miserable. And
I know.
it would be at least like not horrible, but like at least kind of nice if it was at least like, okay, it hasn't rained a bunch, so like it's a little dry outside. No, it's still humid. It's still so fucking humid outside, even despite
Yeah.
the lack of rain. But we're not here for North Carolina weather talk. You people are here to talk about, you want to hear me talk about i26connector and Caelan as a songwriter. And speaking of, I'm curious of your origins as a songwriter. Like what sort of drew you to, music making and songwriting at large?
Yeah, yeah. My dad plays mandolin and acoustic guitar, and I was always going over to friends' houses with him whenever I was really little, and they would sit around in a circle and just play songs that they knew. And it was just a cool thing to witness, and I thought, yeah, I want to do that, you know. Yeah, so that's the origin point, but I had an old iPod Touch that my cousin gave me, or no, my uncle actually. He was around my age though, so I always thought of him as a cousin. But he gave me a iPod Touch that had like 1,000 songs on it, and that really fueled me, like kind of discovering the music that I liked and eventually would like want to create too. Um,
I
yeah.
was gonna say, like, what are some like notable songs on that iPod Touch that you look back and you're like, okay, those were like the sparking points for what like kind of music I want to make.
It's funny. I mean, it was a lot of I got into like Weezer through
Of
that, and
course,
I was like 9 years old. Weezer was badass. And like emo bands like Taking Back Sunday and Rise Against, and which I don't know. Some people would kill me for calling Rise Against an emo band, but
I've always maintained the cult. It's like, look, the culture war on emo. Guess what? MCR is emo. The culture has said that Panic at the Disco is, or at least early Panic at the Disco is emo. It's like, guess what? That is what culture thinks. You can do the Midwest emo 4chan copy pasta text all you want. The
yeah,
cultural touch point of emo is always going to be like that, like mid 2000s fueled by ramen type shit for like most people. And
yeah, yeah, for
anything after is like,
totally.
I say this with all the love of my heart, and also as like someone who's also a giant fucking music nerd. We are nerds for being like, oh, emo music is actually this. Like, we're nerds. The sooner you admit that, the better.
Totally. It doesn't really matter to people at large. And
Yeah,
that's like, yeah, that's if that's what people associate emo with, it becomes what it is. It is
exactly,
emo.
exactly. Um,
um,
but in that case, so like, so listening to music, starting to go, okay, I think I want to be a songwriter, and then from that point, how do you start getting into being in? Because I think Tombstone, it's not your first band, but it sort of is the at least like some of the members who are in Tombstone now were in your first band, if I remember correctly, right?
yes, yes. Sophia was and Jude was towards the end
Okay.
too. Um, but yeah, we I started off playing drums because I was in a band that had four guitarists and no drummer. And eventually I was like, well, shit, somebody's got to do it, you
Yeah.
know? But it was a very like, it was like math rocky and um, sort of emo too. And
Mhm.
it was where I first started like actually gigging and stuff was with that band. It was called Anywhere From Here. There's like one EP out from like way back in the day that sounds insane, but
Uh,
yeah.
so from there, of course, then Tombstone kind of forms out of that, and I guess to get to I26 Connector proper, how does that band begin to form?
Oh man, yeah, that's a big jump. Because that the I26 has really just been a band for like a year, a little over a year. I was just Eli, our drummer, needed a song to finish his singer portfolio at UNC Asheville with, and I lived with him at the time, and we had a home studio, and I was like, let's just if you need a quick song to like record and mix, I have this like little country song we could record, and it was Bethel, and
Mm,
we both were like, oh man, this that was really fun, like, and then it just became this kind of outlet where if I had a song that I'd like just thought was fun and I didn't want to wait to like do the whole thing of showing it to Tombstone and being like super deliberate, I would just like go down to the basement and me and Eli would jam on it and then kind of grow from there. And we all lived together, which made it easy for practicing and being able to flesh things out quickly.
yeah, because yeah, because that was the story that I heard was just like you all live together and like, hey, just so happened to kind of come up with this record together. So, I mean, how does like Hannah and Lawson and Will kind of get more involved from there? Is it just you and Eli, down in the home studio, and then eventually they all just start kind of coming in and adding stuff to the songs you were writing at that point?
Essentially, yeah, yeah. And I've really this is just something in general with any music that I write and play with people is I just want everybody to like write their own parts and like have fun. And I think that it's really fun to have that kind of dynamic, and it's freeing to be able to trust, like, oh my God, why I have these people in the band because I trust their musical sensibilities and I want them to like come in and have fun, and it makes the live shows more fun. And everybody's playing what they wrote. So they just kind of came in, and Will didn't live with us at the time, but I just knew he was a sick player and I wanted pedal steel really bad.
Yeah, because I will say, it's maybe jumping ahead a bit, but like in particular, yeah, Will, the pedal steel stuff on this record is really really incredible. Like just so many good parts heard throughout the record, and like obviously glad that they're a bigger part of like Tombstone Poetry now. It seems like, because I saw y'all of course open for Eliza McLam a few months ago in at Cat's Cradle, and yeah, it was fucking awesome.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, no, Will's a treat, and he's a sweetheart as well, which seals the deal for me.
Oh yeah. But I guess get into the record itself proper. I guess, well, I mean, 7 tracks, easy enough to go kind of track by track to talk
Yeah.
about the record. Spirit Manger, that intro track. Obviously, the first track you wrote for the record was Bethel. When
Mhm.
does this song kind of come along in the songwriting process? When I guess for me, it seems like the record, based on what you're telling me, like the record just sort of kind of, there was no intention to make an album. It just sort of kind of came together, and then you realize like, oh shit, I guess we have a record by the end of the
Yeah,
process.
totally. Yeah. Yeah, in a way, totally. These songs just made sense together. And I remember whenever I just get very obsessive about creating track lists because I love to listen to albums like top to bottom. That's how I usually consume music, honestly.
Same.
And yeah, I love putting together a track list. And I'd never thought of Spirit Manger as the opener. Um, but kind of the way that it like slowly builds and like pulls you in, I felt like that was like a cool way to kind of ease you into the album.
Yeah, because I feel like the entire album, it just feels like we're kind of dropping in on a band having a session, which I think it's not an unusual way. I mean, there's a number of records that have come out in the past couple of years that feel like that, but it feels most in line with like a lot of what was going on in like the 70s, like folk rock scene. Obviously, like easy comparison, like Neil Young and Crazy Horse feels like a very easy comparison to make, of like, hey, we're just kind of dropping it on this band, and here's the songs they have right now, and just you know, it feels like you're just not exactly feel like you're dropping in on something you weren't meant to, but more just like, I mean, we didn't invite anybody to come and check this out, but if you're here, might as well, listen and see what we
Yeah.
got.
Yeah, no, totally. I think I really enjoyed making this album. It was super intimate and different and really cool to go back to like home recording after like doing so much in the studio for Tombstone.
Yeah, that's the thing that surprised me to find out, because it does sound like really fucking good. And I think obviously that's probably a testament to obviously just you guys as players, but also Lawson being a really good engineer. Where going back and reading some of their credits, being like, holy shit, they worked on this record and this record. Like I remember like when I first met Lawson, I think it was at the Fuzzy Needle show that y'all played
Yeah.
with Truth Club and Motocrossed. I was like, did you work on the Horse Jumper of Love record? And Lawson's like, yeah, I worked on it a little bit. I was like, what the fuck? The record sounds fucking incredible. And
I
obviously,
know.
I'm gonna bleep this name of this band who has a record coming out, I think hopefully this year. Seeing their names in the credit for the next record, also very very
Yeah.
exciting.
Super exciting. Great record too. Very excited for that to drop.
Um, but back to Spirit Manger in particular, it's just
Mhm.
this very like contemplative, very like empathetic song. Like listening to it, it's easy enough for me to recall like conversations with friends and loved ones, and sort of feeling that the same feeling that you're feeling on the song. But obviously the song takes like, it's this sort of like, it goes from like a hint of catharsis heard throughout the song to this entire cup's worth of it with the breakdown at the end. So
Yeah.
so what was sort of the inspiration to do this like very sudden, like almost like hardcore switch up at the end of the song.
But I thought it'd be really fun. And I also I was like, it would kind of be funny to like have this like pretty twinkly like finger picky guitar part and then just put the most like ugly evil shit at the
Yeah.
end. Like I just like the juxtaposition of it. And the song is like, I mean, the lyrics are about I don't know. It's kind of like builds this paranoia in the lyricism of like wanting to trust somebody and wanting to be close to somebody, but feeling like there's something holding you back. And I feel like the ending is like the explosion of that feeling.
Exactly. It goes straight from sort of like this very sort of sad piece to immediately like, all right, we're in a horror movie. We're in a horror movie
Yeah.
now. It's crazy. Like
And Will's steel part on that, oh my God,
yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Like there's not many players where I'm like sometimes at the pedal steel you're like, hey, come on, you can't rock out on the pedal steel like that. And Will's like, no, it's like Will and Zandy are two of the pedal steel players I've seen where I'm like, yeah, no, like they are rocking the fuck out on that thing harder than anyone else realistically should.
It's awesome. It's really awesome.
But
It's
then that
inspiring.
exactly, and then of course goes into to cut my hair, which, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. Of course, it does
Hmm.
feel like this entire record is like very colored by the events of Hurricane Helene. As
Totally.
like, there's definitely like apocalyptic or cataclysmic, imagery in your music before, but it feels so much more like lived in and so much more real on this record in a way that it maybe wasn't before. So,
Totally.
how much do you think the events like sort of painted the writing and recording of this album?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I wrote more than half of it at my parents' house whenever, because they live in Waynesville, North Carolina. And whenever the hurricane hit, I was at my house and I was there for a few days. And it's kind of, we had no communication with anybody, it was just very strange. And I was like, oh, it's just going to end. And then it didn't. And we just didn't know anything that was going on. Then my parents came and picked me up, and I ended up staying with them out in Waynesville for a while. And yeah, I was just living in it. There was nothing, I wasn't going to work. I wasn't doing anything other than just like feeling strange and feeling like I needed to help more and trying to get out and volunteer and also just writing a lot of music.
Mm-hmm.
And that was most of this record.
Yeah, because it's one thing to sort of sing about like an imagined world ending, but I mean, obviously, based on all the photos I saw and the people that I talked to about what happened, it's just like, yeah, like the world kind of ended there for a time. Like
No, totally.
I literally had like friends and like my parents call me asking me if I was okay, and I was all the way in Durham, and like you know, thankfully we didn't get hit too badly compared to other places, but even then it was still like it was kind of scary there for a time knowing that like this thing was coming and being like how badly is this going to affect us, and then seeing everything in Asheville in particular being completely horrified.
Yeah, yeah. It was a very, very just, I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It was unprecedented as far as something that I ever would have expected to go through and see people around me go through. But it was also really uplifting to see the way the community like came together through it all. And I think that was a big inspiration for what I was writing at the time too, was, a lot of the lyrics are blunt and honest, but I hope that they're not too defeatist at the same time,
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, lyrically, this song is one of my favorites on the record. Which every song is lyrically one of my favorites. It's a very well written record. I do love the I'm a liar till the end, as I feel like songwriting and music in particular is one of the most honest forms of art, but that can be kind of twisted in a way that makes things more poignant, being like, hey, I like, well, hold on, you're telling me the story and then it's all lies. It's very similar to like acting in a way where for a lot of like songwriters, you are tapping into something real, but it definitely is like, well, you're not in the moment you are when you wrote it, or like the moment you are then whatever inspired it. So like that little I'm a liar till the end, and then obviously Get Behind Me Satan, like those two things kind of coming together, like very like interesting little like lyrical conceits in what is otherwise like a very like real song dealing with like what seems to be some sort of like almost apocalyptic aftermath, being like, hey, like all these places I've been, all these people I knew, I don't know them anymore. Like it's forever colored by this event that's happened.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a very eloquent way to put it. You hit the nail on the head. um,
I I was almost like I'm like halfway through. I'm like, am I sound like a fucking idiot saying this? But hey,
no, 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 no. You got it. Yeah, I'm glad that it comes across. And I think too, an interesting thing with this song particularly, um, and this is true for a lot of this record, was I really, really wanted this album to sound kind of in the same vein as the first Greg Freeman record,
mm,
which I think is the peak of like mid-fi, if
yeah,
that makes sense. I love the way that album sounds. I love how it's blown out. And this song in particular, the swing of it and everything. I mean, he's a big influence on me because he's just incredible. And I think that we have similar sensibilities, being people that love country rock and also stuff like Built to Spill and 90s indie, which who doesn't? But yeah, this song in particular was very, very Greg Freeman influenced in the way the recording came about.
I was gonna say but now you say that I'm like, oh yeah, I absolutely hear it now because I also love that Greg record a lot, and like seeing that record blow up the way that it did over time was definitely like very gratifying, especially getting to be able to brag, being like, I knew about it. I knew about it before it got Best New Music. Like I knew about
I
it.
know, yeah, yeah.
Just like a friend randomly introduced it to me. Because I'm not even sure how he found it, but still, like that record's so fucking good. And obviously, like the last Greg record's really good. And I was so bummed when his show got canceled here earlier this year because of the snow. I was like, fuck.
Oh yeah, damn.
But moving on to the I mean technically the title track, but different spelling. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
for my money, this is the best song of the record. It's probably my most listened to song this year. Just I can't get enough of it. And just to get
Wow,
it out of the
that's
way,
awesome.
why the name i26 connector? Why name the band that?
Um, we were just we had a couple names kind of floating around. It's hard to name a band, you know. It's like deceptively hard to name a band because you're kind of locked in. I mean, you can change the name, but it's still like it's this like weird all-encompassing thing, and it's often going to be people's first impression on a flyer. You
Mm-hmm.
know, people can disregard you just based on the name.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. We were just sitting around talking, and we were talking about I26 connector because we have a friend who's like really into like infrastructure and like um just the way that like transit affects our lives. And we thought, hey, what if we just named it I26 connector? That would be eye-catching and kind of funny, but also like yeah, yeah. And then I wrote the song after we named the band because I was like, we need to have a song that directly addresses that we don't support the project.
Exactly. Because like I mean I'm pretty new to North Carolina at large. I've only been here for like 2 years now, and obviously I haven't even been down to Asheville. But reading up on the titular connector, it seems like it's going to be a very disruptive event. Just even just based on the song, but also just reading like here's the proposed plan. Here's what places are going to get destroyed. Here's what places are going to get their streets closed off to for the construction.
Yeah,
Like in this song sort of displays like a worst case scenario or even just like an average case scenario of what this project is going to do, but also using this latest disruptive event as sort of like, hey, here's one series of events that's been affecting Asheville for the last however many years, like obviously Helene, but then I remember reading an interview with Carly from Wednesday talking about like how like she had to move out of Asheville just because of the increasing gentrification.
yeah,
So
totally.
and you're from the area, right?
Yeah, yeah, born and raised.
So, I mean, for you, how has it been sort of watching the city, go through so much, both like the disruptive events, but also, sort of the spotlight that's been put on the city in the last couple of years, obviously with the blowups of Wednesday and MJ Linderman and other, a number of other Asheville acts.
Yeah, yeah. It's really a lot of it's really surreal, but it's also like these are people that I knew whenever I was first coming up and playing shows when I was like 15. We would go to their shows and they were like everybody kind of knew like, oh yeah, like this shit is so good. Like there's no way. And it's cool to me that the spotlight being shown on the city because it really is a creative hotbed and it's I don't know with the college there's like in the music tech program there's always new waves of younger kids coming up and like starting their own bands and that always makes me excited because I think I've seen like two or three cycles of local
Mm-hmm.
bands you know but yeah, I mean it's surreal, it's interesting, and I just try to keep my head down and just write, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that like whenever Tombstone first started putting out music, I think every single bit of press that we got on our first record compared us to MJ Linderman. And that bothered me at the time because I was just like, no, I'm like my own person, I'm my own songwriter, but it's fine. I get it.
Mm-hmm. It's just like as a music writer myself, or at least a former recovering music writer, I guess I would say it's so easy for us, and like we want to lump things into scenes, we want to lump things together just because it's the only way we can kind of make sense of things. And like even to this day, I'm certainly guilty of doing it, but it's just I try to do it at least with respect of bands and artists in minds, being like obviously the whole alt country wave that's happened in the last couple of years, uh I've certainly read up on a number of people being very sick of it at this time. uh
Yeah.
I don't blame them per se, just because it did explode so quickly, but I think for me, the thing that I just care about the most and what I love about this record is just good songwriting. Like, are the songs good? That's all that fucking matters to me. Doesn't matter what genre it is, doesn't matter where the band is at, uh New York, Asheville, Richmond, bumfuck St. Louis. Who fucking knows where the band is?
Yeah.
Are the songs good? Are you writing good songs? Because that's all that matters at the end of the day, And I
Yeah.
think like there's just been not there's just enough people that have sort of glommed onto the sound that just haven't done it as well. And for some people, that's enough to taint the whole thing. For me, I'm just like, yeah, that happens with literally every single scene in every single genre of music, especially like in sort of an infancy of a wave or just sort of like in the middle of a wave. Like it's going to happen. The good stuff rises to the top, and I think we'll hit that point eventually. And I still think it's still very good and still very healthy. There's still a ton of good shit coming
Yeah.
out and
Yeah.
stuff that's on the way. I mean, the speaking of Richmond, uh Bucko, great band in Richmond. I
Bucko,
saw their record's really
great
fucking
band.
awesome. uh
Totally.
and it's just again it's a good scene. There's still good stuff going on. But to
I
kind of
agree.
go back to the song itself, I mean, part of the reason why this is my favorite is that obviously like the way I've like tried to talk about it with people is that yeah, there may not be like an actual I-26 connector in your town, but there is, especially for people who are in sort of more metropolitan cities, more major cities, like you may not have like the I-26 connector, but you certainly have a I-26 connector that has affected your life and your scene and the people around you. Like
Totally.
watching the way that your city, especially city you've grown up in, change. Especially like growing up near St. Louis, and that is one of the most like segregated cities in the world. And I know there's been a couple projects, but I know at some point there's going to be some secret that gets out about St. Louis, and it's also going to go through like this wave of gentrification and investment. And there's been attempts for sure, but like you may not have like the i26 connector, but there's going to be something that's going to happen to your scene that's going to make you go, okay, this is like sad, but also like, what can I do about it? Especially like the lines, you know, of people that view me and you like stepping stones on a lake. And I guess I ain't much better because I'm always thinking about money. It's only because I have to or I won't have a place to stay. Like that shit fucking, I mean, looking at the goddamn economy, like that shit fucking hits. It's like,
I'm
yeah,
glad.
would
Yeah.
I would love to do something, but it's like I need a fucking roof over my head. I need to pay rent. Like like I just
Yeah,
it sucks. It's this the system that we live in.
totally. Yeah. Yeah. And it's frustrating, and I was frustrated when I wrote this song. um, and yeah, I mean, the song is very directly and influenced by my friend having to move out of um of a house that he lived in for years and years. It was a beautiful little house because of the project. And like you said, I mean, there's a million things like that going on, and especially in major metropolitan areas. And um, yeah, I've also never really written a song like this. Really, this is the only song that I've ever written that I would consider somewhat of a protest song and more politically fueled. Most of my shit is like sad sack bullshit, but I'm proud of it, and I'm glad you like it.
I guess I mean I'm not surprised to find out that the buddy is real, just because the song does go into like that worst case scenario, tearing down our house is to build the i26 connector. I mean, it's a hell of a way to kick off a song. I remember like I was very happy that Josh from No Expectations like was very quick to highlight that as being like that's a fucking hell of a way to open a song. Like that's
Hell yeah.
just very direct and to the point, being like, hey, this is what the song is, like take it or leave it, you know.
Totally, totally. Yeah. I thought about opening the album with it for a long time, but I like where it's at now, I think it's a good mid album think piece.
Yeah, like it would have worked as an intro, I think. Like obviously I mean obviously I'm not a musician, but I definitely have like very similar brain of like I care so much about track listing and the flow and all that stuff. Like I've definitely have been like, god damn, the track listing is so fucking bad in this album. I've done whole like I remember when I wrote about car seat headrest making a door less open a couple years ago, which I love that record. I think that record's super underrated. But I was talking about
Yeah,
like if that album ended up with the track lists that were on like vinyl or CD, I definitely would not feel the way I do about it now, being like, oh yeah, no, that record would not have worked with the original track list, like whatsoever. So
interesting. Yeah, that there were different track lists across platforms.
because he Will Toledo was taking like forever to make the record, and the label was like, okay, look, you have a deadline. We're gonna say, hey, you have a deadline for the vinyl, you have a deadline for CD, and you have a deadline for digital when you have to like get this delivered to us so we can actually like press the records and press the CDs and press, get the music out to DSPs. So like that
Yeah,
record has three separate track lists depending on what format you got it in.
interesting. Yeah, I never really listened to that album. I need to check it out still, I guess.
It's a very controversial record. I am one of the
I
few
know
people
that. Yeah.
that stands up for that record, and especially like that me defending that record hurts so much more now, considering like I thought the last record wasn't very good, and the new Teens of Denial re-recording I also think is not very good, and
Oh,
just
that one's been a source of anger on the internet. I've been seeing that.
it's just
Like,
like what like there's literally no reason to go back and re-record this. You want to do that for Twin Fantasy, you want to do that for the old Bandcamp shit. That makes all the sense in
yeah,
the world. It's like this was a professionally recorded album in a studio with a big famous producer, and you want to go back in and make it a concept record or more of a concept record, and then also take out all the cursing. It's don't get me started. Don't even
yeah.
get me
It's a
started.
very strange move, and I loved that record in high school. I still do. I think it's a great album.
Fucking great record.
Um,
It means a lot to me.
oh yeah, I saw them on that tour. The It had to have been like 2018, and we just went on a whim Like I didn't even know what they really sounded like. Me and a couple of friends went. It was awesome. It was so good.
God. But back to the record, obviously back to the song that, you know, the origin point of the band. In doing like a little research for this interview, I was like, wait, Bethel, like why the fuck is Caelan writing about this town that's like 5 hours away from them? Like, what the fuck is this? Until I did a little more research, being like, oh, there's like 2 or 3 Bethels in North Carolina. Oh, I still have so much to learn about this state that I've chosen to move to and live in and work in. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but now that I got that squared away, I mean, what is it about, you know, this town, or at least this area, Bethel, that sort of like spoke to you that made you want to write this?
Oh, I grew up there. Like
Ah.
it's a little bit outside of Asheville. It's connected to Canton, which is where I like
Mm,
really grew up, but it's like 20-25 minutes from Asheville and Canton. But Bethel is technically an unincorporated community. It's like there's
mm,
truly one stoplight. There's one restaurant, there's a Dollar General, and an elementary school and a middle school, and that's it. Um,
mm,
so yeah, it's just that song. There's a lot of my songs are inspired by just driving, and um, I definitely came up with that song like on a drive through Bethel, like just driving back to kind of check in on the hometown.
mm. Definitely relatable, especially as someone like I'm also like from a town that is, you know, however many miles away, like a smaller town that's however many miles away from a major city. Like, you know, I'm from the St. Louis area, but I'm like 45 minutes away in another state because I'm like right on the border of like Illinois Missouri border where I
Are
grew
you
up.
from Independence?
Not Independence, no, I'm from Alton.
Okay, because my girlfriend's from Independence,
Fuck
actually.
yes.
Yeah.
Uh and I think also part of the reason I really sort of like this record sort of spoke to me is that like Alton is a town that for a long time also like dealt with a lot of like heavy flooding, being right next to the Mississippi. Like
Oh yeah, I'm
before I
sure.
was born, there was a big flood in like 1994. A really like core memory for me in like the last like decade was like driving to St. Louis to pick up my girlfriend at the time, and one of the roads to drive into St. Louis being entirely closed because it was fully flooded. Like, and
Oh
seeing
yeah.
the local convenience store also like conveniently, you know, fully flooded except for the roof. You know, just
Yeah.
having to go about my day and go, okay, I guess I just got to go pick up my girlfriend and, you know, from the airport, and just, you know, I guess we'll just pretend this is not this crazy fucking thing that I'm witnessing. Like, this is just a normal thing and I got to like deal with and be like, yeah, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, water is also just just annoying as hell to deal with. I used to live in a the last place I lived with my parents before I moved out when I was like 19. I lived in the basement, and the basement would just flood all the time. And it's
Mm-hmm.
I would wake up and I would step out of my bed and step into like 6 inches of water and just be mad as hell.
Yeah, there's almost nothing worse than like stepping into a puddle or just any kind of body of water when you're not anticipating doing that whatsoever. Like
Yeah.
there's like I think 2 or 3 very common things that have happened to most people that are like these are just really awful things that can happen to you. Wearing socks and then like getting them wet, like stepping into water while wearing socks, horrible
Yep.
sensation, awful sensation.
Terrible.
Waking up in jeans, that if you're waking up in jeans, then that's not a good sign for me. That's like, oh, okay,
No.
something bad has happened if I'm waking
Yeah.
up in jeans.
Yeah, I've definitely woken up in jeans a few times on tour too. Oh my
Oh
God.
Jesus.
Yeah, just like early debaucherous tours, staying out drinking and waking up on somebody's like shag carpet face down, and I'm still in my jeans.
Oh God. Uh but I mean, speaking of, I have no way to segue this. The next song, Old Beater.
Yeah.
I do love this song. It feels like I mean, most of the record, like the record isn't overall like a very like rocking record, but this is the most like, okay, this is a proper rock and roll song, like not total sad sack shit. This is, more old school rock and roll in that way. So I guess
Totally.
that sort of leads me to ask, like, what about rock music in particular like speaks most to you, that draws you to the genre for songwriting, or even alternatively, like how do other genres and influences creep their way into your songwriting?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think rock music in general is not something that I've always been in love with. I think at this point in my life, I appreciate it more than I ever have. And I think that's just through like performing and playing so many shows. I love the catharsis of rocking out. And
Mm-hmm.
I started to think about writing things in a way that wasn't just like, oh, this isn't just for me. This is I want us to have fun playing this song on stage, and I want it to be fun for the crowd too.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what I love so much about rock music, is it's cathartic, but in a different way, and you can just let loose. And yeah, the other genres I think that really influenced this record, definitely post rock. Um, I love a lot of post rock. I love builds, and I'm a big crescendo head.
I mean, getting
But
to crescendos on the next song, that's a hell of a crescendo on the next one.
yeah, yeah, that one was super. Yeah, super. Chris is weird influenced, honestly. But yeah, yeah, I think just the spirit of rock music is big for me right now, and we had a lot of fun making Old Beater. It was literally the lyrics are kind of bullshit, and I have fun singing them because they don't really matter that much to me, and but in a fun way, where it's like it's just the song just has attitude, you know?
Yeah, it's just I mean, the crown of thorns imagery and all that shit and hearses. It's just, yeah, and that's like the thing about, like, especially like, I mean, like just the early metal stuff, but even like, think of like Black Sabbath, of just like some of the, like, they're just edgelords, and that's not a bad thing. It's just like these guys are just like, what's the next step? Like, just we'll come up with this fucking crazy imagery that no one else really wants to sing about, or even like some of the
Totally.
more like precursors, like Arthur Brown or like Screaming Jay Hawkins. Like
Yeah,
just didn't intentionally trying to like shock the audiences, just because, especially as someone who in the last year has done like a ton of research and listening to like 1950s music in particular. Holy fucking shit, do we need rock and roll? Holy fucking shit, was it so necessary to just like music at large? Like, if we did not have rock bands popping up, music would be dead. I literally think it's like, yeah, no,
yeah,
like music just wouldn't be a thing. It'd just be like, it it would not be a thing the way that it is now.
totally. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think it's so necessary, and especially in a time where, and I probably have a different perspective on this just because I literally probably play 5 to 7 shows a month, and most of them are DIY. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, I love when a band does something that shocks me, like and like excites me. Like I really enjoy like antics and theatrics, and that's something that I would love to incorporate more, which is not really easy to do with the way my music sounds as much. But like Will lifting the pedal steel over his head and shit like that. Shit where I look at the crowd and they're like, oh my God, like they didn't see that coming, I
Yeah.
think that's really cool. And I want to see more bands doing outlandish shit that doesn't hurt anybody, but
Yeah. Or just, yeah, shocking the audience in some way. Like, one of my favorite bands right now is Yahweh Nailgun, and that's a band that, like,
yeah,
seeing them live was the thing that made me click, being like, okay, like, you hear it on record and you're just like, why does he sound like this? Like, what's going on? And then, like, you see them perform live, and their front person just performs in a way that, like, yeah, no, nobody really performs like that. At least just like snotty New York performance artists back in the 70s did shit like that. And I say snotty as a complete compliment. I like, as like, Yeah, no, it's kind of pretentious, but like I don't know, I'm pretentious. I like that shit sometimes. Like it
Yeah.
just in a way where it's like, yeah, no, you don't expect someone to like give themselves up so much like that. You know, that's why like Joy Division is considered such an iconic band. Like nobody really performs like Ian Curtis before or since. You know, just like
Yeah,
being possessed on stage practically.
totally. Yeah. I think that's an awesome thing. And to speak to that a little more, I was thinking about it a lot. I was talking to my mom about this today, actually, because Tombstone just got off tour with Wednesday, and
Mm.
that was the three biggest shows I've ever played in my life, probably just back to back to back. And it is almost like a possession at that point because my brain is in such like I can barely hold a conversation before those shows. I'm so nervous.
Yeah.
And then I get on stage and I like have to get into this zone where like I'm I like all my brain is firing on all cylinders essentially. And then also like 30 to 45 minutes after the set, I don't really want to talk to anybody. I just have to like process the
Oh yeah.
catharsis, which I've said catharsis so much, the release, the whatever, you know.
I mean, I think that's just a very good way to describe like this album, obviously, but I think like your songwriting at large is that it is so cathartic to listen to.
I'm glad to hear that. I hope that it can be that for anybody that listens to it because it feels very necessary to my survival as a human being.
Mm-hmm. I mean, shit. I mean, thinking of fucking catharsis, world champion. This is probably my second favorite on the record, and I think this is probably where like the emo influence pops out the most because I think some of the pitches I've had about this record. I think one of the first things I was telling people was like, listen to this album. It sounds like Southern Fried Sunny Day Real Estate. It's fucking awesome. Go listen to it.
Hell, that's awesome. I love Sunny Day Real Estate.
And yeah, I think this is like a again highly complimentary, very emo ass song. So
Hell
I
yeah.
mean, I guess can you speak to sort of like what was sort of influencing you when you were writing the song? As I believe it's a co-write with Clara from Blythe, or I know they play cello on it, right?
Yeah, it's not a co-write per se, but yeah, their
Mm.
cello definitely helped inform the song. Crazy story with this one. The biggest influence was alcohol because I got really like blacked out one night and I guess I recorded this entire song into my phone. Like the whole structure, all literally damn near exactly how you hear it on the record. And every like few months I'll kind of just go through my voice memos and like check out old ideas and I found this fully formed song and had to relearn it and it was World Champion, which that has never happened to me before in my life. I have no recollection of writing it actually.
Fucking possessed by the emo gods to write this.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I really don't because it's like also a pretty like in terms of the guitar part and the structure of it, it's pretty all over the place, honestly. Like it goes all the way all across the fretboard. Relearning it was fucking annoying, but I was like, damn, what was I cooking on? This is crazy.
Because yeah, it's got like that twinkly emo stuff at the beginning, and then like it feels almost like it's very similar to Spirit Manger, but sort of like more stretched out. You know, you have the twinkly stuff at the beginning, and then like this catharsis is like building and building and building and building until like you just can't take it anymore. And you know, hearing the blackout drunk thing, that definitely explains the oh no, I'm not cut out for anything lyrics. Because like I've definitely been extremely fucking drunk or extremely fucking high or extremely crossfaded and just like had like those very similar feelings of just like, oh fuck, I'm not nothing, man. Fuck. And then like
Yeah.
5 minutes later, I'm like, all right, we're good. We're moving on.
No, totally. Yeah, it was an explosion of drunken emotion. And I
Mm.
love Claire. Clara really absolutely takes the song to another level, I think. Her cello parts are incredible. Um, yeah, I can't say enough about her as a player and her band Blythe is dropping an EP soon. Shout out Clara. That EP is gonna blow people's minds. It's crazy.
Hell yes. Very excited to check it out when it comes out. Um, but yeah, I love the song. I guess we're speaking of world champions. Hopefully, this is not going to fall on deaf ears. Uh, are you or were you ever a pro wrestling
Oh, not really. But
fan?
but Jude, the drummer of Tombstone, is a huge wrestling fan. Huge wrestling fan. I've always liked the imagery associated with it, but I just didn't grow up with it, and I think I just missed out, honestly.
Yeah, I will say, getting into pro wrestling as an adult, it's not a great time.
Yeah.
it's. I mean, there is still good stuff, but it's like, yeah, no, there was like, we're back in a bit of a valley again for pro wrestling, but it is what it is. But also, just like, I think if you don't get into it as a kid, there's just something that like is always going to be missing getting into it at an older age. Like, I've known plenty of people who have gotten into it as adults, but like, there's a certain spark that, like, yeah, it really has to happen when you're a kid, or if it doesn't, you know. But obviously, like, world champions
Totally.
can be anything. So I mean, is there any sports in shit, either like you played growing up or like stuff you still follow today?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm a big baseball fan. I'm a big Atlanta Braves fan, particularly. I grew up playing baseball and watching baseball, and I love basketball too. I played basketball too. Uh, I guess until I was like 13, I was in the Christian basketball league where we prayed before the games, which was really crazy. Asking
Oh,
God to let me hit a jumper.
somehow that perfectly segues into the next song, and sort of, I guess, the next thing I
Yeah.
want to ask is, obviously, next track, final track, Talk to Moses. I think of most of the people that I've talked to about this album, this is their favorite one. This is the one where, like, even
Really?
even people who are maybe like not as hot on the record as me, which, mind you, this is, I think, like, yeah, I'm probably like the hottest person on this album compared to like a lot of people, but even then people are like, yeah, this one's a fucking, this is a scorcher. And
Hell yeah.
like, religious themes, they're all over your record, and all over this record, and your work at large. So I mean, how would you describe your relationship to religion these days, if you don't mind me asking, of course?
Yeah, no, totally. I'm happy to answer. Yeah, I don't know. I was in the church until I was like probably 14 was when I stopped going to church. It was a primitive Baptist church, and there were some good people in it. It's a very interesting denomination of Christianity, um, that is extremely focused on just conducting church the way they did in the Old Testament, which may sound scary, but it actually just meant no musical instruments, no Sunday school, none of the like mega church distractions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know, I fell out of favor with it, and I don't really know where I stand on religion anymore, to be honest. Sometimes I feel like there's something, and sometimes I don't. It comes and goes. But I do think there can be a beauty in it for sure. And it's certainly just, yeah, it was a foundation of my life for a long time. And religion can be very all consuming. And I think I write a lot about things that are all consuming. You know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
a very, especially at least the way that I've written like in my younger years, which I'm straying away from it more so now, I think. But
Mm-hmm.
this record was kind of the last record that I think of that songwriting era of being really, really spiritual and focused on that.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, this is, I mean, it's all the songs, but this definitely feels like a real, the band's all coming together on this one. So I'm curious, like, how everyone's sort of parts sort of came together, and how, like, sort of, getting the song all together with the rest of the band, how that kind of shaped out.
Yeah, yeah. This was the big question mark for me. Just because it's so long, and I didn't want everyone to be bored. You know, it's like I know what this song can be, and in my head it's awesome, but like sometimes it is a little intimidating to just bring like a 7 minute song to practice
Yeah.
and be like, just kind of do your thing. But I showed it to Eli, and Eli really liked it, and we brought everybody in, and there's just so much space for everyone to shine, honestly. Like Will's parts on it are so cool to me. Extremely textural. Hana's bass line is so just like fuzzed out and driving. Especially in the loud parts. It's great. It's so fun to play, and it's probably my favorite i26 song.
Mm. And I mean, this the seventh and final track of the album. I guess I'm curious on why seven songs, because like when I think of like a 7 song record, for better or worse, my mind goes back to like that summer in 2018 where like every record that Kanye was a part of was all 7 songs. Ye, Daytona, Kids See
Yeah,
Gays. Like,
true.
is it just
Yeah.
just like, hey, these are just the 7 songs we had at this point, or were there more in the tank that didn't make this record?
There was one song that got cut, but it's on the next Tombstone record. It just made more sense as a Tombstone song. But yeah, I mean, these songs are they stand together for a reason, and it got to a point to where writing anything else to like put on the record would have just been forcing it. Like this had to
Mm.
kind of be its own little thing. And yeah, I would much rather put on a record like that instead of just trying to force a couple more tracks out, which I wanted to do just to make it like 9 or 10 songs. But I'm happy with it as it is.
Yeah. Again, I think like certain expectations for records, and certainly these are ones that like I have like dealt with, because I remember like a couple years ago, Kurt Vile put out like an EP that was like album length, or like what we consider album length. I'm like, why is he calling this an EP? It's like 11 songs. It's this, 50 minutes long. And I like had to kind of beat that out of my brain, being like, an EP, an album, a mixtape, it can be literally whatever the artist wants. Like, obviously, we were talking about Yahweh Nailgun earlier. Their new
Yeah,
record is literally 11 minutes long. And I'm like, yeah, that's an album. Like, I have no problems with them calling that an album. um, One of my favorite bands is Joyce Manor, and I don't think
I
they've
love
ever
Joyce
made
Manor.
got the fucking tattoo of all things else and go tired on my
Hell
goddamn
yeah.
arm. And that's my favorite record from them. And that's like barely an album, as we would call an album, considering that like
But it's a
how
great album.
it's like a third of it is demos. It's literally like 13 minutes long. I mean, even on like a normal Joyce Manor album, like all their shit is really fucking short. And like kind of getting to like sort of confronting the audience, sort of like shocking the audience. Like, I think they're not like, Joyce Manor's not a band you would think does something like that, but I do think like in very subtle ways they do that simply by being a band that almost exclusively makes short music. Like all their shit is really really short. Like, you're like, okay, normal bands will be like, hey, you have this great chorus, repeat that chorus like 2 more times, do verse 1, verse 2, here's a bridge. And like,
Yeah.
I what I love about Barry as a songwriter is that he doesn't hold that whatsoever. And I think obviously that's, I'm glad to hear that you're a big Joyce Manor fan, because I can definitely like hear that a little bit in like the song structures on this record in like very subtle ways, but more just like traditional songwriting structures, like typical. As much as I love pop music, like typical pop music songwriting sometimes is for suckers. Like, the
Yeah,
song is what it
I
needs to
agree.
be. And like, I'm very glad to hear that, you considered it, but like, there's no reason to force this to be any longer, any shorter than it needs to be. Like, this is a
Yeah, it said
complete
what it needed to
statement.
say. Totally. Exactly. And yeah, Joyce Manor is a huge, I mean, it'll always be an influence on me. And my original band, Anywhere From Here, the one that I drummed for, we used to cover Done Right Discount Flooring,
Fuck
um,
yes.
which was just awesome because it's just a fast, just nasty punk song. But I think that we are going to reunite on Halloween and do a Joyce Manor cover set in
Yeah,
Asheville.
I will call off work. I will be there. I will fucking be there. I have to be
It'll be so much fun. I'm gonna have to get my drum chops back up though, because the songs
there.
are hard as fuck.
There's no, like, of course they've gone through like 3 or 4 different drummers. Like, yeah, no, that makes sense why they've gone through like so many drummers over the years.
God,
Like,
and they've all been great. God, yeah, I think my favorite song by them is probably Schley or The Jerk. I love both of those songs a lot. Just great band.
again, I saw them live last weekend, and like, yeah, they're still, by my estimate, like, yeah, that's the best band in America. Like, I just
Hell
they're
yeah.
they're the fucking best. Like, it's just it's hard to dispute. at this point, you look at the catalog, you look at how they are live, it's like, yeah, no, they've endured for a reason compared to like a number of other bands they've come up with. It's like they've endured because like their stuff feels really eternal and very like fundamentals of rock music, but in a way that isn't like super traditionalist or all that. It's just like, hey, like they have been a band that has just continued to write really great songs over
Yep.
a number of years and like have been able to kind of meld the right set of influences, that speak to the moment of how things are right now in a way which is not
Yeah.
a way you describe them. Like it's like speak to the moment. Like, are they political? Like, no, they're not a political band whatsoever, but more just like sort of like where they're at with their influences, like where they're at musically is usually not too far off where I'm at, like what music I'm into these days myself. Like, yeah, where they're at, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. So,
I hear you. Yeah, totally. A
um,
great band.
they're fucking again, love them so love them so much. Um, but I was gonna you sort of mentioned the eighth song on this record that ended up being like is now going to be on the a Tombstone Poetry song. I guess for you as a songwriter, like how do you separate between like, okay, this is Tombstone, this is I26, this is just me solo. Like, how do you know which is which? Is it just like pure instinct? You know it when you see it, or is there just like certain motifs, certain ideas you go, okay, this fits better with this fits better with this.
Yeah, it was really easy with this first record because it was so like I said, like half of these songs I kind of wrote in a short burst in a short period of time, and it was like, oh yeah, these songs stand together. It's getting a little harder to figure it out. I know what the one thing, the easiest is the solo music because the solo music is like, okay, yeah, I just wrote this like Elliott Smith sounding ass song. I'll just play it with Elon brushes and Claire will do something beautiful on cello and it'll be fun. um, but yeah, but I mean, Tombstone and 926, I mean, they're very similar bands, but I think, yeah, motifs especially. Tombstone are the songs that are like embarrassing, in my opinion. Like, especially this next record, it is embarrassingly personal. And I-26, I think I have a little more fun with and get a little more abstract, but Tombstone is like the albums that like I have to make or I'll die.
Hmm.
Like the songs that I have to write.
Um, and I guess to sort of wrap this up. I mean, what's stuff that's popping off, or like stuff that you really like that's coming out of like the Asheville, or even just like the North Carolina scene at large that you're really digging these days?
Oh yeah. Well, of course, my good friend Noel just put out an amazing record.
It's fucking good.
Wonderful, crazy record. Insane. So much range on that record. And we're actually working on the second one. Um, I think I'm gonna play some guitar on it, and
Oh yeah.
we've been playing a little bit, which is just so much fun. She's a true talent. I'm going to go see her play tonight. Um, of course, the like I said, the Blythe EP is so much fun. It's like just a crazy fusion of like art rock, twee, like almost musical. There's a song that's musical theatery, but in a really cool way. It's so interesting. It's such a fun album. Otherwise, there's a band called Narcan Race Car, crazy ass name. Zoe, the violin player for Tombstone, um, plays violin for them now, and they're really cool. Um, Bucko, which not NC, but they just let us stay with them whenever we were on tour with Wednesday, and they that record Casinos and Landfills is really sick. It's a really cool take on a lot of the stuff that's coming out right now.
Yeah, I concur completely on the Bucko record. That record's really awesome. Like, very happy I found out about them through the motocross show in like Chapel Hill. Like a band that I would not have known otherwise. And I guess just sort of a more larger question about, I guess, this sort of North Carolina music scene. Like, what do you think about this scene has like what about it do you think, or even just even the surrounding areas, like obviously like Richmond is not North Carolina, but definitely like not that too far away. Um,
Yeah.
like what do you think it is about this scene that has really like spoken to people, uh especially people who are in it, of course, but also people who are outside of it? Because like, I mean, one of the biggest fans of the I26 record that I know is like some like 50-year-old guy in Australia that I put onto on Indie Heads. Like he's like, oh yeah, this is a fucking awesome record. Like,
Hell yeah. Shout out that guy.
and I guess I guess it because it's not even just the alt country stuff too. Because obviously, like Truth Club is nowhere near alt country, but like it feels like they're a band that's really maintained like a very like nice, steady fan base and a lot of acclaim.
Totally.
But
Well deserved too.
yeah,
Oh my God. Great
I mean,
band.
they're my introduction to the entire scene. Like I discovered them in 2019, and like probably some way responsible for me moving here in the first place. Just being like, oh, they're from here. Okay, yeah, that's one reason to come here, is to be like closer to a band like this. Because if they're from here, who else is fucking from here? You know?
Yeah, yeah. They're also sweethearts too. Great people. Great
Yeah.
people. Um, yeah. I think Asheville in particular, it's just camaraderie. Like and everybody's like pushing each other in this beautiful way that's like intrinsic and not like not based on comparison. Um, and everyone I know is just making an album and excited about it, sharing things about it, and yeah, it's just it keeps going and going and going and spreading. It's like an album virus. Like I think that this year, um, potentially like six or seven. Damn it. So,
Listen, I just did the little hand motion, listeners. So if you did it too, guess what? You're just like me.
yeah, and I don't blame you for it. It was right there. Um, but I think six or seven albums that I played on will come out this year in total, which is just awesome because everybody's making albums and they're a lot of them are doing shit in my basement, which is great because I come down in my pajamas and play a guitar solo and then come up and watch Community or whatever on my TV, you know.
God, and just to make it like abundantly clear to the listeners, I would consider you like probably the hardest working person in the scene right now, simply just by how many bands you play in or have played in or will play in. Like you're every single time I'm checking like somebody's story, I'm being like, what the fuck? Like Caelan's in that band now too? What the fuck is going on? Like, and
It's
hearing the six
my
or seven
God,
albums,
sorry.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited to hear all the shit you played on that hasn't come out yet.
I'm so excited too. It's just the reason for my existence, you know. And I'm just in love with how eternal it is, and I mean about as eternal as anything can be. I've always just been in love with the idea of like each album that I play on or write or whatever is like a time capsule for a period of my life and a connecting point between me and a person in a way that's like unspoken. It's it's a beautiful thing, and that's why I'm so obsessed with it. And I'm playing so many bands, and I don't know if I'll be able to keep that up forever. In fact, I probably won't, but I'm gonna do it for as long as I can for the love of the game.
Till the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
I guess in that case, I mean, what does the future hold for I26 Connector? But I guess just yourself music wise, like what's next? What's the future looking like?
I'm really, really locked in on finishing the Tombstone record right now, which will be done in probably a month and a half and shopping that around. Um, and which is a world that I'm not super familiar with, but I've got some good friends helping me out, helping me navigate that. I26 will hopefully start recording the next record in the fall, and it is almost fully written on my end.
Fuck yes.
So that's it. I don't see I26 as a band that's going to tour very often or anything. It's essentially more of a recording project.
Hmm.
But anytime we put out an album, or I mean, hell, if we got the right offer, I'd I'd go on tour for anything. It's just expensive. But but yeah, um, we'll put another record out. I think we just gotta get through the Tombstone record first, and I can shift my attention and songwriting.
Oh yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on the pod. Any other things you want to plug before we head out?
Um, yeah, I will plug. Well, I26 has a show tomorrow at Static Age, but it's sold out. We're opening for Oven. Um,
Oh fuck yeah.
should be a fun bill. Headringer Lawson's band is also playing, and it'll be a blast. Otherwise, my friend Austin, who plays in motocross, plays piano, um, made a really cool post about trying to start a North Carolina scene website, which I think is really cool, and I want to
Yes.
shout that out. Um, he's working on that right now. Be on the lookout. His Instagram is really long and hard to for me to spell, but I think it's just I think it might just be Austin with like 11 ends.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I think that's what it is.
yeah, there's a post up about it, so I want to plug that. I think that's really cool. Otherwise, just be on the lookout. Everybody's putting out an album, rollouts. Idle County record coming next month. Really fun release show for that with Colin Miller's playing that, and I26 is playing that too.
Fuck
Um,
yeah.
which Colin, I mean, what a songwriter. Insane. Low key, the puppeteer behind the whole scene.
I was thinking about coming down for that show because it's on a weekend too. So I'm like, I could probably make it out there first time in Asheville.
Yeah, come through. You can totally stay with us too. So
Fuck yes.
yeah.
All right. In that case, thank you, listeners, for listening in on this interview. Go listen to I26 Connector by I26 Connector if you have not already. If you listen to this episode and you haven't listened to it yet, what the fuck are you doing? You should have you should have listened to it like 55 minutes ago. What's going on? Uh, but thank you so much, Caelan, for coming on the pod. Very glad we can make this happen finally.
Thank you, Matty. Thank you so much.